fired up today? Drinking coffee? Can you feel the beauty? Ooh, that was a nice chord right there. Rob Scallon. Rob Scallon in this bitch.
Yeah, podcast. We don't even know what a podcast
Whose podcast?
is. Podcast. We don't even know what a podcast is.
Come on.
Podcast. We don't even know what a podcast is.
Nope.
Podcast. We don't even know what a podcast is.
Hey.
Podcast. We don't even know what a podcast is. Podcast.
Yeah.
We don't even know what a podcast is.
What is it?
Podcast.
What is
We don't
it?
even know what a podcast is.
What's a podcast? Yo, what's up, y'all? Excuse me. Let me clear my throat. My name is Wax, and I'm back. Triumphantly. Well, not really triumphantly. I can't say that this is a triumphant return to my podcast. It's just a return. Triumphant would imply. Triumphant would imply that I won something. Triumphant would imply that I was gone, won a medal or an award or a trophy, or rescued the princess, and I came back with the booty. And that was a double entendre. But I didn't. I didn't win anything. I'm trying to win something, I guess. I'm trying to get my album done. The album is done. I said last time probably that it was done, but it was not. Turned out we'd spent a long time reworking one of the songs. One of the songs that is actually going to be my first single, music industry. My first single off the album. Had to rework it a little bit. Damn, my nose is stuffed up today, so you're going to hear even more deep breathing than usual today, probably. My nose is totally stuffed up. That's weird. I didn't notice that until I tried to start talking. I haven't really talked a lot today. The only talk that I've done today was to order coffee this morning. Yeah, so here I am, podcast 92. It's been a month. Been a month since my last podcast, and I apologize for that, but been busy. I actually took a trip. I went back to my hometown for a while and just kind of got out of it, but most of the time I've just been so busy working on this song and just doing other shit. And then, of course, you know me. It's not all work, man. That's, I'm not a perfect person, y'all. I'm not perfect. Never said I was. Never said I was perfect. Never said I was the ideal human being. Never said I was the go-getter that some people are. Never said I could ever achieve the level of success as a major athlete or even coach of major athletes. The kind of success where it requires you to have drive and want to win and want to kill and take no mercy on all opponents. I don't have that. Instead, I have the desire to just hang out and relax sometimes. And, recently in my life, I've been just trying to find the balance, man. Just between work and whatever the fuck else I do, because I don't have any other hobbies but work, y'all. I don't really have any hobbies. I'm going to try to take up some new hobbies in the near future. But all that said, first I want to give props to Rob Scallon. If you're not familiar with Rob Scallon, it's R-O-B space S-C-A-L-L-O-N. He's really, really popular on YouTube, man. He's a great guitar player. He does a lot of cool videos on YouTube. And me and him have been communicating via email for a while. He's trying to do a collaboration with me, and I'm sure that he would get it done in a day no matter what we did, because he's, a real worker. Somebody who cares. Somebody who really has that drive. I don't know why I'm shitting on myself, y'all, today, y'all. I've actually been working really, really hard, and I shouldn't be shitting on myself so much. But my point is that Rob did that first podcast intro, and I thought it sounded beautiful. I'm sorry if I talked on it too much. I feel like DJ Clue talking over extremes more than words right there. Nah? But then, like a month ago, I guess Meek Mill, the rapper Meek Mill, who I really like, Joe Budden was talking shit about him. I just saw this because I was on Twitter and I saw this fucking little video where he was like, where Meek Mill was Joe Budden was talking about Meek Mill on his podcast, and Meek Mill was on some interview show, and he didn't even know he was like, we don't even know what a podcast is. And I thought that was funny, so I remixed it and just added a little beat, chopped it up, and made a new podcast jingle. So I had 2 today, y'all. Two podcast intros, and since then, of course, there's been some kind of controversy with Drake and Meek Mill, but you know what? Wax's podcast doesn't get into that kind of shit too much. All I will say is that I did hear all the things, all the songs. My fucking nose is so stuffed up today, man. So if I'm doing a lot of just like, I apologize for it. You probably hear it every week. But, Drake clearly won that battle. So if you're going to email me and ask me what I thought about the Drake and Meek Mill battle, I'm going to just tell you to refer to podcast 92, what minute is this? 6 something. And I will say that I thought that Drake won. Unless Meek Mill comes back. Meek Mill would have to do something pretty strong at this point. I don't think that he's capable of doing something that would make him win that. But anyway, that's what I think of that. But regardless of what happens in that battle, I used his voice to make my podcast intro. And what he needs to do is use that. What if Meek Mill just released my podcast intro as his next diss to Drake? That'd be amazing. All right, I actually got a couple things listed here that I want to talk about real quick. Jesus. Is it? I got that summertime sniffles. I got that summertime sickness. The fucking song is so stupid. Summertime sadness. But it kind of makes you happy. For some reason, that song is sad but happy. It's kind of genius. I got that summertime sadness. But, yeah, so the other day I was at a restaurant, a little diner, as I always do. I eat at diners almost every day, table for one. And I was sitting there, and I know that a lot of you guys have regular jobs, and keep in mind before I say this, I've had a million regular jobs. I worked at many restaurants. I worked in many delivery jobs. I worked construction. I did landscaping. I worked as a fucking administrative assistant in an electrical engineering company. I did hotel software tech support. I had fucking sold mortgages for a little while. I've worked in retail. What else have I done? I've done a lot of shit. But now I'm spoiled. I've been in the not have a regular job category for like 5 or 6 years now. And I'm really spoiled. And as a guy came up, he's wearing his flowered shirt that all the employees are wearing. My initial thought was like, God, man, I'm so fucking lucky. I'm so fucking lucky because if I had to do that now, if I had to go back to waiting tables, I don't know what I would do. I'd be really frustrated, y'all. That was my first thought. But my second thought was, damn, this dude is dumb because I was sitting there at the table. And this guy, the waiter, came up to me, and he goes, so, sir, are you ready? And I said, first, man, what's the best thing that you guys have? Because when I go to a new place, I like to ask that. Because certain restaurants, for you guys that are rookies, you guys that are in your teens and you're not really, proficient in how to have a great time at a restaurant, a lot of restaurants, if you order what you want, that might not be the thing that they do well. So you always want to get what they do well. Granted, if you don't like olives and they do fucking olive cake or whatever you make with olives well, so that because I don't like olives, shouldn't get the olive cake. But if you like meatloaf, don't just order the fucking meatloaf at a diner. If that meatloaf has a star next to it and says Mama's homemade meatloaf, and the waiter tells you that that's what everybody gets and is the most popular item, you might want to order the meatloaf. So what I like to do, I'm saying this like I'm some kind of fucking food expert, as if I'm Anthony Bourdain over here. If I was Anthony Bourdain, you would spell it Boredain. But, the waiter comes up, so I'm like, he's like, so are you ready? I was like, you know what, man, what's the best thing you guys have? And this motherfucker goes, I'm holding the menu up, and on one side of the menu is breakfast and lunch. And he fucking holds it. He waves his hand down the menu back and forth like a Price is Right girl in front of a fucking grocery item that you're trying to guess the price to. And keep in mind, my question was, what's the best thing that you guys have? And he goes, well, some people say it's our breakfast, and some people say it's our lunch. Really? So you basically just said the whole section of the menu I'm looking at. What's the like I was asking for what meal? Like I was like, should I get breakfast, lunch, or dinner? I was in there at breakfast time, clearly, by the way. I was like 10. Maybe I was having an early lunch. Maybe I was having a salad or something. But if you ask the waiter, what's the best thing you guys have? And he says, some say it's our breakfast. Some say it's our lunch. That's not really too helpful. Not really helpful. I wouldn't call that a suggestion. I'd call that just a generalization of, I don't know what I'd call it. All right, so I have a couple things written down here because I've been so gone from the podcast. I've had a couple thoughts. I wanted to tell another story because I was back in my hometown a couple weeks back. From my hometown is Dunkirk, Maryland. It's a very small town. And after being in this Los Angeles area for so long where nobody has a yard, nobody has room, there's no space, everybody's kind of like up on the fashion shit and fucking kind of nearby the entertainment biz. Sorry if I'm drinking a lot of coffee today. I just know that's going to get cold by the end of this episode. So I feel like I should drink it while it's hot. I like my coffee fresh. I like my coffee hot. But anyway, I had a lot of. I should have done a podcast right when I got back, man, because I had a lot of thoughts. It was very reflective going back there because it's just so different, man. It's a really small town, and it's got a really small town vibe. Like you go to the park and it's like, it's just Americana, man. People eating hot dogs and playing baseball. People just raising their kids, and there's cornfields, and there's like American flags, and everybody drives trucks and shit like that. And it just made me think of this. Speaking of jobs, I used to work at a place called Windmill Farms Nursery. This was when I was in college, and I lived in a dorm. So if you live in the dorm in college, generally when the summertime comes, the summertime sadness, because you're leaving college. You wanted to stay in the dorms, but at that summertime. In the summertime, you go back to your hometown and stay with your parents again because you can't live in the dorms all summer unless you have like summer school. Summertime education. You can't, you go back. So one year, I guess I was like 20. I lived back there, and I worked at a place called Windmill Farms Nursery. And this is not a nursery where you have children. It's a nursery where you have plants. There's plants, and they sell mulch, and they have like fresh vegetables, stuff that was picked that morning. And for some reason, it's not even that funny of a story. There's two stories involved in this. We'd sell fresh corn, and the corn was fucking delicious. For anybody out there that buys either corn on the cob or especially tomatoes from the grocery store, if you have a farmer's market or if you have like a locally sourced, just like fresh, there's nothing like a fresh tomato, man. A tomato you buy at the grocery store, if you make a BLT with that, it's like, But if you make like the T, you would think that the B is the most important ingredient in the BLT. Granted, it is important. Low quality bacon is a low quality BLT, but let me tell you, the T is much more important. The T is what brings the F, and that is the flavor. The L is not important. Lettuce, what does lettuce taste like anyway? But a fresh tomato on a BLT, there's nothing like it. But we used to sell fresh tomatoes at that place, sell corn. I would like act like I knew about the shrubs we sold. It was one of those classic jobs, man. Like, when I worked at the Beverly Center, I worked at this high-end fashion place, and people would come in there and they'd be dressed all sharp, and they'd ask me like, be like, hey man, you think this tie or this tie is what I should buy to match this shirt? And I'd be thinking in my head like, dude, for you to ask me this question is like, it's like Jimi Hendrix asking a fucking 6-year-old who just learned to play guitar like what note he should play next. I'm like, you fucking know better than me. And it was like that because I did, I'm not a landscaper. I did later in life. I actually was a landscaper for a little bit, but I didn't know anything about like bushes and shrubs and shit like that, but I had to kind of act like it because I'd be like a customer would come and we were walking down the aisles of azaleas and geraniums. And, you know, I learned a lot. If you'd asked after that summer, I actually did know a pretty good amount, but it was kind of like I was trying to fake my knowledge. And since it was such a family place, everybody assumed that I was like the kid of the family that owned the farm. You know what I mean? So they assumed that my hypothetical parents had imparted some knowledge, some farming knowledge on me. So maybe that's where my acting days started. Because I would act like I knew something about the fucking farming shit. But none of that is part of the story. It was really hot and muggy, and I'm fucking putting mulch in trucks all day. And then sometimes people would come and they buy fresh corn on the cob, fresh tomatoes, flowers, whatever. I just remember that there'd always be this redneck dude that would come in there, and there was a lot of redneck dudes that would come in there. Big dude, old dude, come in a truck, usually chewing on something. Even if he wasn't chewing on something, he just always looked like. Yeah, how you doing? How you doing? I just came from Baton Rouge. Sometimes I'll go visit camp and just, get some corn. Some of those dudes are like, especially now that I've been away so long, like some people with a really strong Maryland, but Southern Maryland accent, like dudes that ain't never left there, and like it's hard to understand, man, if you've been away for a long time. It's like talking to a Jamaican dude or something. He's speaking English, but you don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Go down there, get up there, kick that corn, get up there, down there. If you say down there or up there, and you're from there, you say there or up there. But this one dude would always come in and look at the corn, and there's two types of corn. There's like the special corn. The real good corn is Silver Queen corn. It was a little bit more expensive. But then there was just yellow corn, which was sweet corn, which I actually liked just as much. It was kind of had a sweeter taste, but he'd always come in there and be like, look at my face and be like, it's Silver Queen regular yellow. It's Silver Queen or regular yellow. I can't even do the accent as good as I could have when I kind of had the accent myself. I didn't have it like that, but everybody there has an accent. Everybody there, if you ever seen Bam Margera talk, that's kind of the same accent as a Maryland accent, but Bam Margera's from like Philly. So if you take Philly and give it like a little bit of Virginia twang, that's the accent of where I'm from. But if dudes that have like been there, their shit is like unintelligible. And that was the first story. I just thought it was funny. This dude would come in there every day and ask me if it was Silver Queen or regular yellow. It's Silver Queen or regular yellow. But I heard another guy. I had to have told this story on the podcast before, but if you have a really strong accent from that area, keep in mind people from Maryland and people from actually a lot of states in the United States. For you guys that aren't from the United States, the United States of America is divided in another audio problem, but the United States of America is divided into 50 states, and each of those states are divided into counties. So if you take Maryland, it's probably got, I don't know how many counties, 15, something like that. But each state has counties, and a lot of states, like California, they're really big counties, and the cities are really big. So people aren't, that's not true. People say they're from Orange County, so I take that back. But people from where I'm from often say where they're from by their county, and I think that's because the school systems are all divided into counties. And, God damn it. Hold on one second. Yeah, it's because the school system is divided into counties. So all the people that you grow up with and go to school with are people from your county, and a lot of people refer to where they're from. They'd be like, I'm from Calvert County, I'm from PG County, I'm from Anne Arundel County, I'm from fucking Montgomery County, et cetera, et cetera. And the place where I'm from is Calvert County. And if you have a really strong accent, Calvert County is a place where they grow corn and a place where they grow tobacco. Now it's also kind of becoming more suburban. It's a place where people go to Walmart. It's a place where people used to grow tobacco, and now they go to the Olive Garden. They used to drive a tractor. Now they drive a truck. Well, everybody there drives fucking trucks. You drive a truck up to kind of restaurant? They got like fucking. There's like 10 Starbucks in a mile, and then there's nothing. And then there's another little fucking. It looks like everywhere else in America. Am I painting the picture correctly? The same fucking stores. There's a fucking Walmart surrounded by Starbucks, surrounded by Subways, and then in the parking lot there's either a Applebee's, Olive Garden, Chili's, or fucking Outback Steakhouse. It looks like everywhere else in America. You get my point? But it's called Calvert County. I say all this because I wanted to tell you that if you have the same accent as this guy, and another guy actually said this to me one time, and it just after he left, I was fucking dying laughing just thinking about how the following statement is correct. If you have a strong enough Calvert County accent, and you use the phrase Calvert County corn, you can actually say the same syllable 3 times in a row, and say that. Yo, it corn. Excuse, like pointing to the corn on the table and be like, it's corn. Corn. Ow, fuck. I just hit my toe on a chair. Jesus Christ, man. All right. Oh, man, it's like bleeding and shit. I hit it. Damn it. Well, you gonna be a man or a mouse, you know? I would say the podcast must continue, but considering my track record in the past month of how many podcasts I've done, I probably should just hit stop and not even put this out. But doing really bad on the podcast, man. I don't know why. You know, I really enjoy doing the podcast, but I just feel, I don't know why I don't fucking do it as much as I should. You know, I want to step it up. What I want to do is step it up. I want to produce it, and I want to get guests more often and have a wacky sound effect guy and turn it into a morning radio. Wax and Tim and Jeff. Wax and Tim and Jeff. Drive Time Radio, 97.8. Did you guys hear? Let's pass it to Marsha with today's celebrity news. Hey guys, today Justin Bieber was walking on the red carpet and he tripped over a beehive and was apparently stung. He was rushed to a local doctor where they said, "Why? That was just a bee sting. Why would you bring it to me?" And then, back to you, Wax. Oh, thank you. Now we're gonna go to fucking Incubus with fucking. I don't know, man. Fuck. That's the last time I listened to the radio. That's why I made a dated reference like Incubus. That's probably the last time I listened to a show like that. Incubus was probably the shit. Anywho, where is this podcast going? I have a couple of things written down. I waste too much time on social media. I think somebody might have emailed me about that. Maybe I'll talk about that later, but does anybody else feel like that? Anybody else feel like they waste too much time on social media? Like when I check I gotta check my email. You know what I mean? Checking your email is important. But just like while I'm on my laptop, I'll like go to Facebook, and now Facebook is just the ultimate time wasting experience because they actually got dope shit on there. Like if you want to waste your time, if you're like some people I know who don't really value their time and don't have dreams or goals or whatever, like they're happy to waste their time. I wish I was like that sometimes, but at the same time, I definitely don't wish I was like that. But it's a great place to waste time, and I have absolutely no point with anything that I'm saying right now. Okay. I might have talked about this on the podcast before, but I'm actually pretty sure I didn't. As a society, can we just make it a movement or like make it socially acceptable, or depending on which way you look at it, socially unacceptable. I think it should just be. Can it be not a social? What the fuck do you call it? Like not something you pass down to your kids as being cool or acceptable. The dominating handshake. Like recently, I actually had this dude. I actually used my studio as a recording studio. I only use it for me and Davey. Only use the studio for stuff we do. But recently, I actually my friend had some shit he had to do. He had a voiceover guy come in here, and I was the audio engineer. Look at me using my schooling, to make some money. And the voiceover guy, who really had no business being a voiceover guy, was this big, like, he was an ex-Marine, and he was big as shit. When I met him, when he shook my fucking hand, granted, his hands were probably fucking 2 times the size of my hands, but he fucking squeezed it and, like, looked at me like, hey, nice to meet you. And I wanted to be like, no, it's not fucking nice to meet you, asshole. Stop trying to break my hand. What are you doing? Like, are you trying to prove right now upon our first meet that you're fucking better than me? I mean, you're clearly bigger than me. I have sight. I can see that you're larger than me. I can see that you could dominate me if the fucking world was about to end and there was only one fucking source of food left and we had to fucking battle it out to try to get to that one source of food. Like, I see that, but we don't live in that world. You're coming to my studio. I'm helping you out. And as soon as I meet you, you got to fucking try to break my fucking hand. Like, am I the only person out there that hates that? Do I just have a weak grip and a small hand? I just can't stand that shit, man. Like, I want to sometimes when I like, you know, it's already difficult enough, man. Aren't handshakes already difficult enough? Everybody has a different way of doing it. It was clear that this dude, it was very clear by his flat top and the shit that he was wearing and his posture. Isn't it weird how you can tell a military and you know, I respect people in the military, but there's interesting things that are different about people in the military, and I think that a lot of you guys would notice, like, you can kind of tell a dude that's been in the military just by his posture alone. Like, it's like so straight that it's actually converse. You know what I mean? He's actually like, his looking straight, he's actually looking a little bit up at the sky. You know what I mean? And but my point is, I knew by looking at this dude that the type of handshake we were gonna do was a regular handshake, what I call the job interview handshake. Put your hand out there, like, hey, nice to meet you, sir. That kind of handshake. My favorite kind of handshake, people, and I'm trying to be one, but see, this is what makes it difficult. My favorite kind of handshake people are the people who, you know, 6 steps before they even get to you, their fist is already up. Just fist up in the air. You know it's a quick fist bump. It's the germaphobes handshake. You know what I mean? My favorite people, EOM is one of these people. Like, he'd be 10 feet away from you. And he'll have his fist up like, this is how we're going to shake each other's hands. We are going to do a fist bump right now. We're not doing a hug. We're not doing a fucking slap, then pull back, then do a fist bump, then give a half hug. We're not doing a job interview. We're doing just a straight up bump. And I want to be one of those people, but the thing is, say this military guy I'm talking about, I see him 10 feet away. I never even met the dude before. I put up my fist. A dude like that's going to see that as disrespectful. You know what I mean? A dude like that is going to see that as like, that's what I get coming over here. What am I supposed to do with that? Can't we shake hands like men? And then you got other people who want to do all kind of different shit. And some people don't even want to shake your hand. And so the more you travel and the more people you meet, the more difficult the handshake becomes. So can't we at least take the possible fucking knuckle and wrist break aspect away from it? Can't we, as a society? As a society, can't like Barack Obama go on TV and be like, look, here in America, I meet a lot of people. I met people in Indiana. I met people in Illinois. I met people in California. Let me tell you something. My fucking hand hurts. People shaking. God forbid. I go to Afghanistan, meet with the troops. Meet with the troops in Afghanistan. Shake everybody's hand. By the time I get out there, my hand, I gotta go, the next hand I'm shaking is the hand of the doctor. The hand doctor. That was stupid as shit. But, yeah, I just wish we could get rid of dominating handshakes. I've never liked that. And the older I get, the more I realize how, like, alpha male nature, lion of the jungle it is. And maybe we should keep that. I don't know. I already know if the shit hit the fan, I'd be one of the first motherfuckers dead. I already know that. I consider getting a gun for that all the time because I know I've seen the reservoirs. There's no water in LA. there could be an earthquake in LA. There's a fuckload of people in LA. And if it turned into martial law in Los Angeles, I'd be like the first person to get eaten by another human. I can't really fight. I don't have any weapons. So that military dude would fucking be in a bunker. He's got guns. He's got shovels, pickaxes. I should befriend him. But all that would mean is I'd be turned into lunch meat as soon as he was hungry. Oh. All right, another thing. I'll do this one real quick. This is all my shit is restaurant related because that's like, this is really, really, I was about to sound really, really sad. What I was about to say was about to sound really, really sad. I was going to say all my shit is restaurant related because that's like the only time I talk to other humans. I'm either in the studio or at my house. I need to fucking make more of an effort to have more of a social life. I need to get out of the studio, man, and do more like regular shit. It's my goal. I'm gonna start joining like a bowling league, maybe. As sad as it sounds, man, I have a lot of dreams that are, and this isn't what I was gonna read, but I have a lot of dreams that I've never fulfilled. That are not the dreams that people probably think somebody like me has. Like I don't dream of winning a Grammy. I don't dream of like fucking being at a party with Paris Hilton or something like that. Those aren't my dreams. My dream is to be in a bowling league. My dream is to live in a small town in North Dakota, and every Tuesday night I go out bowling, and like hopefully we beat the fucking Fargo Spinners. You know what I mean? Because we're the fucking Bismarck Bowlers. You know what I mean? That's one of my dreams. The entertainment dream I still have, but I just want to not have to work a regular job, and I have other dreams, man. I want to be a regular at a local bar. I've never done that. I want to walk into the bar. I'm a regular at a diner now. They know me there. They know what I want. I'm a regular at the Chinese restaurant. Me and Davey are regulars at the Chinese restaurant that's a block away from the studio. We come in there, they're like, she knows we want the hot tea. She asked Davey, she's like, Mushu again? And he's like, well, actually, this time I might try steamed vegetables. But, I want to be I want to be like Norm from Cheers. I want to be a regular at a bar, but I also don't want to be an alcoholic that goes to the bar every day. Be a lot of money to spend too, you know? But yeah, the only thing I was saying was that, and this is especially for people that live in the Valley. If you live in the Valley or in Los Angeles and you go to the place called Republic of Pie, there's a place in North Hollywood called Republic of Pie. Great place to get coffee. Great place to go if you want to see some good-looking women, because right by all the yoga and dance studios right there, right in the Arts District. But I go there, and I was in the mood for a salad. I wanted to get something healthy that day. But I also was hungry as shit. So I asked the chick, I said, do you guys I said, how big are your salads, really? Am I going to, do you have a big salad with chicken in it? And she said, oh my God, our salads are really, I'd be really surprised if you could finish it in one sitting. That's what she told me. And lo and behold, it was a side salad. It was like a fucking $12, like the ingredients of this salad, like the amount. Like, I feel like such an American sometimes, like when they gave me my to-go bag and I didn't even have to look at the salad. I was immediately disappointed by the weight. And there's been other times conversely where I've been in a restaurant and I got the to-go bag and I go to pick it up and it weighs like 2 or 3 pounds. I'm like, oh, I fuck with y'all. Oh, I fuck with this restaurant. Love this place. But dude, this shit had like 3 croutons, 4 pieces of spinach, and an olive in it. You know what I mean? Like, this shit was tiny, which is fine, but she told me that I couldn't finish it in one sitting. So if you go to Republic of Pie on Magnolia Boulevard in North Hollywood, don't get a salad. The last thing I have written down here, y'all, this is actually would have been a better story. It's really not much story to it. Would have been a better story if I had said it right after it happened, because now I don't really remember the details, but like I said, I always fly Virgin America when I go back to the East Coast, just because it's the best airline. And it's not really any more expensive than the other airlines. And this time, what happened to your boy? Well, when I was ordering the ticket, on Virgin America, they got first class, they got main cabin select, and then they got regular coach. So on the flight back, it asked me, it said, do you want to spend $40 extra to sit in main cabin select? And main cabin select had free drinks and a bunch of leg room and free movies and shit. And I was like, all right, let's do this. So I was in row 3. And the plane's about to take off. We're waiting on the runway. Not on the runway. We haven't moved yet. Waiting at the gate. I'm sitting in my seat in aisle 3, row 3, or whatever the fuck it's called. Row, aisle. And the flight attendant comes up to me. She goes, "Are you traveling alone?" I was like, "Yeah." "Why?" "Because I want to fuck you in the bathroom right now. I actually would have fucked you if you're with your wife, because that's my fantasy. But since you're traveling alone, I won't." No, but she asked me if I was traveling alone, and she goes, "Well, we got a seat open in first class. How would you feel about sitting there?" I was like, "Okay." So I fucking flew back and guess what my seat number? My seat number was 1A. The first fucking seat on the left. Seat 1A. And it was interesting because there was a lot of other people in first class that, like, they weren't, you could just tell that they were unimpressed. You could tell that they'd been in first class a lot. I was in first class once on a flight in Europe, and it was like an hour flight or something. So I had a beer and was like, whatever. But this one was awesome. But you could tell that, like, this is what happened. This is what I find interesting about being on first class. You're flying with these people. You look around and you can tell that they're well-traveled elitists. They have eaten at the best restaurants in Milan. They've had sushi. They've had sushi with that guy. Was it Yoshi? They've had sushi at that guy's restaurant who they made a documentary about in Tokyo. They probably are friends with the guy that killed the lion, the dentist guy that killed the lion in Zimbabwe. They've had several meals with CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. People serving them 8 courses, the finest shrimp, escargot, caviar, fennel, encrusted lobster neck. So they're on here on this plane, and the people on the plane are up there microwaving essentially fucking budget gourmet dinners and putting it on a nice plate and serving it to these people as if it's fucking gourmet. Microwaved fucking nonsense that they give really, really fancy names to. Like that, what was the fucking thing? It was like, I can't remember, but a name like that, like fennel encrusted reduction of sorbetishness dipped in drizzled cattle milk. That was whatever I just said was something really dumb, but they give it a fancy name, and then it's fucking spaghetti and meatballs. You know what I mean? Like, it's some bullshit. Still better than what the people in the back get because they don't get anything. But it's just funny because I look around and I look at these people and I'm like, dude, the palates of these people are not dumb. Their palates know that they're not eating gourmet food. So why are you trying to trick them with your words? Yay! Let's get to some questions and some shout-outs like we do on Wax's Pizzad Kazast. Scribbity screw, bobbity gobbity goo. All right, do some shout outs. A little bit behind on the email. It's the 4th or 5th today, and I'm at like where's the last email I was at was like July 12th or maybe earlier than that, maybe like the 9th or something like that. But I'm gonna try. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I'm gonna get better at doing the podcast. I'm gonna do the podcast every week. Next week I'm gonna do a video podcast. It's a 3D video podcast. I'm gonna broadcast live from the satellite space station on a podcast. I'm not gonna fucking sit here and like I've done in the past and tell you guys I'm gonna fucking step up the podcast game. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to do better. But I'm like one of those dudes. I'm just the boy who cried wolf, except I cried wolf so many times that I've just, like the boy who cried wolf went to the town and said, wolves, and everybody ran. Ha, 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 ha. Funny. Everybody came back to the town and was pissed at the boy. Boy comes across the hill again, wolves. Everybody in the town runs. Ha, 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 ha. Everybody's mad at the boy. Boy comes across the mountain, wolves, and this time it's really wolves. Everybody's like, fuck you, we ain't leaving. Everybody gets mauled by the wolves. I've done that so many times that, like, what am I going to say? There's nowhere to go once you're dead. You know what I mean? The wolves are just ravaging the wolves have taken over the world at this point. Like, the wolves have as much population currently as human beings. Speaking of that shit, dude, what the fuck is that? I wrote it down because I texted it to somebody. Dude, if you want to see a good ass, documentary, man, sad documentary. There's a documentary called The True Cost on Netflix. It's about the fashion industry and how it fucks with the world, but it goes even beyond that, dude. And it's really sad, man. It's really fucking sad, but it's really, really good. It's a great watch. And I would recommend that movie, man. It just kind of gives you a different perspective into, like, the way we think and the class system of the world, the way that we are fucking up the world without even knowing it, the way that capitalism is probably not the best system. Just a lot of interesting things come up with that. But so anyway, shout outs. Shout out to Boots B, Aaron James, EJP, Josh T, Big D, Abid A, CY I Hate You, that's CYIH 8U, all one word, Joey W from Alabama, Amanda A, Amanda, I appreciate your email, by the way. That was very touching. Joseph R, we got Resign, Rezine, from Escondido. Shout out to Katie Mardayat, John S., David M. from Toronto, who recommends Last Chance High, a Vice News series about youth from inner city Chicago. We got Geoff, who recommends Chili Gonzalez. Chili Gonzalez does a pop music masterclass on YouTube, and it's certainly an interesting watch. This guy's a piano player. I'm not sure where he's from, but he takes, like, you know, the ones Geoff sent me that I had seen this guy before, but the ones Geoff sent me were Fancy by Iggy Azalea and Get Lucky by Daft Punk, and he just kind of like goes through the song and while he's sitting at his piano and kind of fucking just talks about the melodies and like how it relates to some old Italian fucking piece and shit. It's really like overreaching when it comes to pop music. But it's really interesting. It's cool to see. It's cool to see like somebody with that kind of music background talk about pop music. So I recommend that too. Thanks, Geoff. All right, we got Ellis L in the UK who recommends the album We Are Virtual by Exilent, Xilent. I feel like I know who that is, but I just can't. It just doesn't register right now. I know somebody here has recommended me that before, and I've watched it. I think it's a UK dude, but I like to think it's like Exhibit if he was mute, like silent and with X to the Z, and he's just like rapping as hard as he can, but there's no actual words coming out. All right, shout out to Godzilla who recommends Snoop's new album. He says Snoop Dogg, the new album Bush, it's mad dope. Smoke a joint to it, take a journey. I actually haven't listened to that album in full. I have a weird something weird happened with that album, and but yeah, whatever. I haven't got a chance to listen to that album. I'm sure it's dope. I always like that genre, the G-Funk Pharrell kind of genre of the songs that I've heard there with Charlie Wilson on them and shit. So voice is starting to die because I haven't quit smoking yet. Anyway, this letter is from Geoff. Dear Wax, this is Geoff. Nah, I haven't written in a while, so I figured I'd come at you with some praise. A quick question and a couple recommendations. Gotta cover all the bases while I'm here. Praise. Congrats on the first real stand-up set. Can't wait for these music videos and the new album to drop. Well, thank you very much, Geoff. I appreciate that. I actually have a stand-up show. Well, maybe I have a fucking stand-up show I'm doing. Let me pull this up real quick. Let me pull this up real quick. To this place called Genghis Cohen. It's on Fairfax, 740 North Fairfax Ave in Los Angeles. It's on August 20th. I'm not exactly sure what time. I think it starts at 8. It starts at 8 o'clock. I probably won't be really advertising it, but if you're listening to the podcast and you're in LA, I have like a stand-up show. It's probably like a 10-minute set or something like that. So if you're bored on August 20th at 8 o'clock on Fairfax, near Fairfax and Melrose, there's a place called Genghis Cohen. I think it's like a fucking sushi restaurant that also doubles as a it's a New York Szechuan. Let me pull up what the fuck this place is. I've never actually been there. Yeah, it's like a fucking Chinese restaurant that also has like, I guess, comedy shows. You know, I don't do comedy. I'm starting from the bottom. You know, I want to start from the bottom. This is only my second official show. I actually had another one, and I ended up canceling it last minute because of the same shit that I haven't done the podcast. I was working on this song, and it was like, dude, I gotta this song that I've been trying to work on could potentially be a pretty like big song. It's kind of like it's a single, and it sounds like it could be licensed or put on the radio or whatever. So we tried to do a couple things to just make it sound better, and it turned out taking a long time, and yeah. So I was working in the studio on that, and it was just more important than the comedy show that I had, so I kind of canceled last minute. Not a big deal. I hadn't talked to anybody about it, and comedy is not as bad as music to cancel last minute, because in Los Angeles, you cancel, they'll find somebody to fucking take your spot. You know, it's not like you're the drummer and you cancel, now they're like, who the fuck's going to play drums tonight? Nobody knows the songs, you know? Totally different ball game with cancellation in comedy, but with anything, if you overdo it, you're fucked. But anyway, yeah, August 20th, Genghis Cohen. I think it's at 8 o'clock. There's like 10 comedians. One of them will be me. And, yeah. So, can't wait for the album to drop. Thanks, Geoff. As far as the album, because of this single, there will probably be a little bit of a further pushback on the album. The album is done. It's being printed right now. But I think now for the next, like, little while, I think when the single is going to come out, we're going to spend a little bit of time pushing that. You know, I got a manager. He's trying to put together a game plan. We're trying to do this like a business. You know what I mean? But I got some shit already done. I'm going to try to fucking, goddamn it, get a new freestyle type video out soon while I'm waiting here, man. That's what I really need to do. All right, question. I'm sure you've already talked about it, but how did your set go? How long was it? How much material did you have? The set that I did was 12 minutes. It went really well. I have a video of it. But, you know, it was my first show. I'm not going to put it, I don't really want to put it up. Let me see if I can pull it up and see. You know what, let me pause for a second. Maybe I'll do a clip from it. I'll do a clip from it real quick. Hold on, let me pause this for a second. All right, this first joke is kind of immature, but I'm going to play a clip from that stand-up show. Make sure you notice the big, dumb laugh of T-Rex, which overpowers everything. I think you can hear him go, yeah, Wax, at one point. Yeah, like I said, the first joke, it's pretty like stupid and immature, but it got a laugh. You know, you can't argue with laughter. So here's a clip of me doing my first stand-up set. I can't date women my age. I can't do it. Women my age, when I date them, like, they're always looking like way too far in advance on a first date. Like, can't we just have fun for tonight? Like, she'll be looking at my face, just I can see that she's thinking about her own face and my face morphing into a kid. And I'm looking at her face, thinking about what it'd be like to come on it. So I'm single. I'm single. And when you're single and you live alone, sometimes you get a little bit lonely, man. I get lonely, you know? And anybody that gets lonely, you know that inevitably you start thinking about your ex. You start thinking about your ex when you get lonely. Might be your recent ex, a past ex, but you start thinking about her. And what's weird is you never think about the negative aspects of the relationship, right? You only think about the good things. You never think about how she used to shit on your dreams. You never think about how she would like sometimes text her ex-boyfriend when she got drunk. You never think about those things, only the good things. But it's kind of bullshit though, right? It's like this all positive revisionist history. That'd be like if the only information you had at all about World War II was the movie A League of Their Own. That's it. That's it. There's no Hitler, no Hiroshima, just adorable women playing baseball. No Rosie the Riveter, just Rosie O'Donnell the Riveting. No Anne Frank in the hideout, just Tom Hanks in the dugout. No, shit that sounds the same, whatever. So there you go. There you go. Pure hilarity. Hilarity in action. So that answers that question for Geoff. But I mean, yeah, it went really well. But the crowd, it was like almost like a fucking recital for a kid that's taking piano lessons, and all the kids who are there, it's like their parents and family and friends who are there. So the crowd was really friendly and really supportive. So it was kind of easy, like, to get laughs and to have people not boo you off stage and shit like that. But that was that question. So recommendations from Geoff still. I just watched 2 Kurt Cobain documentaries the other day. One was the HBO one a ton of people have been talking about recently, Montage of Heck, which I fucking want to see. Still haven't seen that. It's really personal. Tons of home video stuff and journal excerpts. Really cool doc. It stays away from his death and mostly talks about his rise and then the fall leading up to his death. The other one I saw was called Soaked in Bleach. That one is supremely interesting. It mainly follows the stories and recordings of the private investigator that Courtney Love hired to find Kurt. Living near Seattle, it really made me hate that police department even more. Both are really interesting and worth a watch. I guess that's all I got this time. Geoff! Speaking of police and private investigators, dude, fuck. I tell you what police department is not the most apt, and that is the fucking Burbank Police Department. Because I didn't tell this story yet because it happened since I did my last podcast. Our studio got broken into, y'all. There was a guy who fucking broke into a couple studios at our building. And, we found out, and it was caught on videotape. He's a guy that hangs out here. Like, I've met the fucking guy before. He's still not caught. And he stole a guitar out of our room, and I come to find out a week later, he stole my fucking checkbook. I had a checkbook in a drawer here, my business checkbook, and the motherfucker wrote some checks. Him writing checks is how I found out he stole it. So this guy committed fraud and fucking stole my checkbook and wrote a shitload of money in checks. Luckily, he wrote so many checks that some of them didn't clear, but I got all the money back and it's all good. But the fucking Burbank Police Department have yet to find the dude. I mean, this dude's fucking left so much evidence everywhere. I could have fucking hired Inspector Gadget. He could have found him without penny and brain, motherfucker. You know what I mean? All right, this one's from Danny from Sheffield. All right, this is just the end of his email because he had some other stuff too. But he goes, on social media, there's so much bullshit. Like quotes from people that are shared on Facebook that prove stupid things like, quote, all Muslims are terrorists, end quote, or, quote, Apple are trying to kill people with iPhones, end quote, or some other bullshit. It pisses me off when people share stories /quotes/facts that are blatantly stupid and made up. You think there'll ever be a way of ending this ignorance? Just felt like emailing, possible stuff to talk about on the podcast. If not, forget I emailed. Haha, Danny from Sheffield. I believe that is in the UK, the United Kingdom. And I love how people from the UK don't pronounce the T's if they're in the middle of the words. Like tomatoes, or I guess we say it like a D, tomatoes. I mean, you can find out. I said tomatoes earlier, but I guess we don't say it either. But they turn the T into tomatoes. Or what the United. I like that. But whatever, dude. What the fuck is he asking me? Basically, Danny from Sheffield is saying that people say stupid shit on social media. And it's interesting that you say that because people have always said stupid shit. People always have stupid thoughts. People always have conspiratorial thoughts, racist thoughts. And I have a lot of stupid thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts that I know people would think are crazy, but the difference between me and some other people is I don't always, I mean, this is arguable too, but I don't always post that shit. I know that I'm not going to post something that's fucking crazy on social media. And, like there's a chick that I'm friends with on Facebook that's super, super conservative, and she always posts this shit. She's just fucking terrified. Well, both terrorized as well. Her brain is terrorized. She is terrified by what she sees that is televised. You know what I mean? She's just like one of those people that's super conservative, watches Fox News, and just totally gives in to the complete and utter fear that they fucking dispense out of that network. And she's just always scared. You know, she posted a video of this bitch talking. I mean, chick. I'm not saying. No, but it's this chick from Fox News talking, and literally the title of the video was like, "You need to be very afraid." And she's talking about ISIS or talking about, I don't even remember what she was talking about. This was so long ago, but I was just like I had to comment on it. You know, that's my problem, is sometimes I get baited into commenting on stuff like that, and I was like, no, I don't need to be afraid. I don't need to be anything that this woman says, especially not afraid. But the point is, Danny, I think that there's no way to stop people from having stupid thoughts, and now it's just easier for them to share them with the entire world. You know, it's like there used to be the guy that ran around the town square talking about the sky is falling. Now it's just easier to reach you can reach the Times Square from home. All right, thanks, Danny. This one's from Nick G. Yo, Wax. I just wanted to tell you I think you're meant to be with my mom. You share a birthday, and you just said 1964 on Podcast 91, which is her birth year. I don't know. I'm a little stoned. Yeah, because I mentioned the year 1964, I mean, if you take that as a sign, you're really kind of reaching out. You know what I mean? It's like one of those Illuminati videos you see where it's like, in 1964, the third digit of that, which is 6, there were 6 people that said something significant about tomatoes. Those people were Martin Luther King Jr., John F. Kennedy, Timmy from Raleigh, North Carolina, and Gandhi's distant relative, David, who lived in Ethiopia. If you combine the last names of all of them, King Opie, you know those, I don't fucking know, man. All right. But I also have a question for you. Do you think everybody has somebody, or that it's very possible to die alone? I assume you've thought about things like this before because of songs like Red, Straight to Paradise, and Music and Liquor. Thanks for reading this. P.S. I've got a project called Cloud, dropping on Bandcamp, and on July 4th, obviously I'm dated with these emails. It's mostly trap/hip-hop instrumentals, but has some EDM on it too. I'd really appreciate if you can give it a shout out. All right, shout out to you, man. Nick G's got a joint called Cloud, dropping on Bandcamp. It already dropped on July 4th. Unfortunately, I don't think he gave me a website. I mean, if you search Cloud on Bandcamp, you probably get some other shit too, but I don't know. And Nick G, hit me up on Twitter and be like, "Yo, this is Nick G. I was the one who said Cloud here. Put my and I'll try to repost it or mention it again on the next podcast or whatever." But as far as your question, do you think everybody has somebody, or that it's possible to die alone? I mean, it's obviously possible to die alone, even if you have somebody. Say you met your fucking soulmate when you were 20. They got cancer when they were 40, died when they were 45. And then you live the rest of your life, you're like never finding somebody that quite hits you like that, and then you fucking die alone. There's a lot of people that die alone, man. I mean, is it possible to die alone? I mean, think about somebody who's homeless, drug addict, dies in the streets. I mean, that's about as alone as you can get. That's not even having friends. That's not even having family. Like, it's definitely possible. Anything is just about possible, you know? So, if you're asking me if that homeless person that was an addict that died alone, you're saying, do you think everybody has somebody? Do I think that person could have found somebody if they had done something differently with their life? I guess so. I also believe that some people like to be alone. I mean, I don't know. That's tough. There's definitely some people that like to live alone and be alone. I'm one of those people, but I think over time it's better. You're happier if you live in a communal environment, much less in an environment with one other person. I think I think ultimately you're happy if you live in like a communal environment, and if that's been proven in many studies, as I've talked about. I think I talked about it in one of those songs you mentioned. Didn't I talk about that? What did I say? Like, oh no, I fucking talked about that on the BET Cypher that I did, which was a really weird thing to mention on an outlet like that. Yeah, probably can't really answer your question. I think yes, it is possible to die alone, but I think everybody could find somebody if they tried. I think anybody can get laid, as long as you have sexual organs. And if not, you could still find somebody to be with you. Unless you're just a fucking dick. I mean, what do I know? All right. Angus from Australia. And I think that I've received an email from you before, Angus, because I think I mentioned last time that you didn't have to say from Australia. You know, that's like saying Elton or Nigel from the UK. Like, I know, dog. I know with that name where you're from. There's nobody named Angus from anywhere other than Australia, with the possible exception of New Zealand. Anyway, Angus from Australia says, "Sup, Wax? Couple recommendations and a question for the podcast this week. My recommendations are the new John Wayne EP. John Wayne is retired. John Wayne is JONWAYNE, and that's one letter, one word. It's been kind of slept on, but it's dope and has your boy Anderson .Paak on it, which is cool to hear. Also, the album Ego Death by the Internet is cool, and Vince Staples' new album Summertime '06 is pretty dope too. I'll put the links below." Dude, that album Ego Death by the Internet I've been listening to that a lot. I love that album. That's a really good album to just put on and kick it to. A lot of you could probably do things such as clean your house and do your laundry and shit. It's real chill vibe, and I really fuck with that album Ego Death by the Internet. I actually haven't heard the John Wayne one. But speaking of Anderson motherfucking .Paak, him being on that album is now Tiddlywinks, and Diddly Squat combined, because my boy Anderson .Paak, in 2 days, Dr. Dre is releasing a new album called Compton. I don't know if it's supposed to be. They say it's music inspired by the movie Straight Outta Compton, and you know Breezy's what I call Anderson .Paak. That's what I first knew him as. It's really strange for me to call him Anderson, but some people call him AP now. Anyway, Breezy, AP, whatever you want to call him, he's going to be on 6 tracks on the new Dr. Dre album. So we over here are very excited about that. We are very fucking excited to witness somebody we know and have been working with and been friends with about to blow the fuck up. It's like first there was Snoop. Then there was Eminem, 50 Cent, Exhibit. Who else did Dre put on? I mean, yeah, there's been people that Dre put on that hadn't really blown up to the level that you could, but this fool is on 6 tracks on his album, and he's also a fucking beast. He's one of the most talented people I've ever seen, and that includes celebrities and people that I grew up listening to. He's just amazing. So congratulations to him. Go hit him up on Twitter. Say congrats. I should get him on my podcast. I should interview him about how this shit all came about on my podcast, because I don't know the whole story. But Dr. Dre heard there's a fucking sick ass song that Breezy has called Suede, S-U-E. You know how to spell Suede. Well, no, because you might think it's S-W-A-Y-E-D. Like, yeah, you really swayed my opinion on that. But he's talking about suede as in like a type of leather that you don't want to get wet. S-U-E-D-E. So Dr. Dre heard that and just like fucking reached out to him. And I guess he just came in the studio and started killing it. I haven't even heard the music yet, so I'm excited to fucking hear that shit as a fan. And yeah, it's fucking crazy, man. Like when I've heard that shit, I actually celebrated within this past weekend. I couldn't contain my excitement, man. Like I can't believe how crazy that is. But so yeah, keep your eye open for that. The new fucking Dr. Dre album with Breezy on 6 tracks. Fool was on my last album. But he toured with me. He fucking opened for me. That fool played fucking drums for me at Lollapalooza like 3 or 4 years ago. Like me, him, and EOM were E was the DJ, he was the drummer, and it was my music. I was the rapper, and this fool played drums and sang backups. And now he's fucking on 6 tracks on Dr. Dre's new album. It's fucking crazy, man. So awesome. All right, so Angus from Australia continues. My question is regarding the flood of albums coming out this year. I feel like 2015 has already been a big year for hip-hop album-wise. That's fucking true, man. It's a really good time in music, especially hip-hop music. Especially compared to last year where seemingly only a handful of anticipated rap albums came out. Do you think it's easy for artists to get drowned in the massive amounts of other albums, or do you feel like having a strong core fan base is enough for a good album to get recognized? Personally, I like to think that the cream rises to the top and the best music will eventually spread. But with so much damn music, good and bad, coming out, it's hard to spend time with and appreciate an album. Interested to hear your thoughts about this and can't wait for this new album. I talk about this all the time with people I know, people in the music business. I'm an avid Spotify listener. I listen to Spotify a lot. And recently, I've been listening to a lot of music in general, new and old. And when I was a kid, I would buy an album and you only could listen to albums that you had. Like you had a collection of albums and that's what you could listen to. Now, my collection of albums is every album ever made. So every time I turn on Spotify, I can listen to anything. So for me to be like, oh, I'm going to listen to the A$AP Rocky album again for the 10th time is something that probably not a lot of people do anymore. My theory, which I believe is true, and I even see it in my own listening habits, is that people don't digest music the way that they used to. It's you don't listen to an album over and over again the way that you used to. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe more people that are younger and bigger like fans of artists still do this. I don't know. Memorize the lyrics, listen to the drums and how everything goes. Maybe people still do it, but with the availability of every album ever, I think back to when I was a kid, right? Standing at the bus stop, got my boy Fraser, my brother, my old friends from fucking elementary and middle school, Richie, Kiata, Nick, people that listen to music. And we talk about music. He'd be like, yo, I got the new Bone Thugs album, you know? And everybody's talking about what they like. Now, if I could go home after school and listen to all that shit that they were just talking about, I probably would have done it, you know? Instead, in order to listen to that shit, I would have had to fucking get my parents to somehow drive me to the far-ass away record store, of which wouldn't matter anyway because I'd have to have fucking $15 or whatever to get the album. So instead of doing that, I'd be like, well, still got this album. Listen to that. So I absolutely think it's a whole different way of that people listen to music now. As far as your question about album being recognized, I definitely think there's truth to the cream rising to the top. And I think that's a good thing about the availability of music is that shit spreads easier. Shit spreads a lot easier, and you can be further on the bottom and rise to the top faster, I suppose. But yeah, if you have a strong, like you said, having a strong core fan base, if people like you enough, you know, I guess your album doesn't have to be as good for people to fuck with it because they just like you. I don't really know. I feel like I'm saying this to y'all, like, honestly, I feel like my core fan base has been neglected by me in the past couple of years. So I feel like my album has to be good for people to still fuck with me. I don't know, but I think it is good. So everything's gonna be all right. What else do you think it's easy for artists to get drowned in the massive amounts of other albums? Yeah, I think that it is. I think because there's so much music out, I think that you have to have something special. I think that's why the album you mentioned, The Ego Death by the Internet, it has something that, you know, or people like Tyler the Creator, or even A$AP Rocky's album, in my opinion, or Kendrick's The Ultimate example, like, to have something that doesn't sound like everything else is even more important now. Just to have something different, something unique, is even more important now than ever, you know, especially with rap. Like, It's a lot of people that can rap, man. There's a lot of rappers. We've seen battles. We've seen people rhyming syllables. We've seen people saying cool metaphors. We've seen it, you know. There's a lot of rappers, but what do you got that nobody else got? Whatever you got that nobody else got, showcase that, you know. So, I don't know. I think that's about it. I appreciate the email, Angus, and see where I'm at here. It's a pretty long podcast. Oh shit, yeah, I'm already at the hour and 10-minute mark. But sorry y'all about the lack of podcasts. I'm gonna try to get better, honestly. But I've said this. I feel like I made this speech a million times. Like I said, I'm the boy who cried a pack of wolves. So I'm just gonna tell you, be safe out there.